Hello everyone. In today's video I'm going to show you how to create macro variables, and there are different ways how we can create macro variables. First we would go one by one. So the first method is by percentage let statement. So if we define it here, percentage let, and this would be the macro variable DSN. SAS help dot class would be the value in that. Let me tell you that if we define it in the let statement, if we go into the global symbol table, the macro variable values. So we would run this statement. So now what you're going to do is we're going to invoke the macros here. I'm writing the statement proc content data. DSN value would be SAS help dot class, and data set in the title SAS help dot class. Here it would be SAS help dot class, and the observation would be 10, showing the 10 records. So it run. Here we go. The statement is proc content. Similarly, we're going to run this here. There we go. 10 records and first 10 observation data set SAS help dot class. So this is how we invoke the macro variable, and we used it in the statement. Now the second method is positional parameters. What is positional parameters? Uh, when we create a macro, like I'm going to create a macro name match, and in this parameter observation, these are called positional parameters. Here I'm going to then write a statement of content data is equal to DSN, title data set DSN, and DSN run and the statement here, and we're going to create this. This is macro, and this would be DSN observe. OBS would be the macro variable. There is a difference between macro and macro variable, as you know. So I'm going to run this here. Here we go. We created this macro variable, and so what we define in this bracket in the parameter would be the macro variable. So when we invoke the macro by mentioning the statement percentage match, SAS help dot class would be here as a DSN, and the OBS would be 10 here. Let's see, we run the statement here. Here we go. We get the value what we want. If we run this here, percentage match inside the bracket, if we don't put anything, it will show error expecting a name because we haven't put anything here. We haven't put anything here, so it's asking the values here because the DSN observed here there is no value, so it will not run. If we put this here, SAS help dot class, it's going to run. I think it's going to run. No, the system stopped because we have not mentioned the ops value. That's right. Similarly, when we're going to put this here, again there would be error because we haven't put the name. So when we define the macro variables in the parameters here, we have to, while invoking that macro variable, we have to mention it here. So I'm just showing one by one example that unless we put data set name and observation the value, it's not going to properly execute. Second, the other method is keyword parameter. So what this keyword parameter would be is that we are going to define the macro variables in the macro here itself rather than defining it down by invoking that. DSN would be SAS help dot class and observation 10, and we would run this. First, we are going to run this macro. There you go. Now we just calling the macro. Okay, here we go. We got this. Yeah. Because we have already defined in the keyword. This is called keyword method, keyword parameters, because we have to mention the key. In this we have to mention the values and then define the values here, macro variable values. The other one is the other method is the mixed keyword. Like in this, we are going to mention, suppose here, like I'm writing a macro now, and in this JSON I'm going to write SAS dot class and comma obs I'm not mentioning here because I'm expecting this to mention here. You see. So what it's going to do is that when I invoke the macro here, it's going to take the DSN SAS help dot class and the observation, because I've mentioned is equal to, so it's going to take it from here and let's see. I'm defining the macros. Sorry, I'm creating the macros here. And I'm invoking here. Now in the other way can be like I have already defined a macro variable here in the parameters, inside this parameters. Like I've mentioned the keyword which is SAS help dot class. Suppose if we want to override that and if we want some other data set, we can mention here data set name. Like I've mentioned this city, but there is no data set by the name city. I'm just going to replace it from here. Like I'm going to name this data1. Suppose if I do it like this, data1 binom, data1 binom. Data1 is the library name and binom is the data set name. So I'll just try to run this. Let's see. Here we go. We got the record. So what I'm going to say is that if we want to override this SAS help dot class value here with some other value, we can also mention it here rather than only expecting to take it from here. And then in the ops, we can mention whatever the values we want, because it's going to like here. Suppose if I mention it here, SAS help dot class and observation 3 is only going to pick up the 3 observations, the first 3 observations. So we can override that. This is one way of creating macro variable. I finished as the other one is SQL into clause. It's very interesting because we have other alternative of creating macro variable. Rock SQL open select name sex into clause. F name separated by this. Into gender would be the other macro variable. F name, this would be the first macro variable. Gender would be the second macro variable, separated by the quotation mark. Class help dot class let num ops is equal to sq ops. This is number of observation. Right. I'm going to run this here. This is already Lisa. It's showing 19 because if we have already mentioned it here inside let number here, this is local, so it's going to show that here itself. Now I'm going to invoke it by mentioning this put statement. We're going to see this in log statement. Put last names as. If we see here, we will see this. These are the names. The F name macro variable has all the names from SAS class. Name column, name variable. Similarly, if I run this, it would have male and female here because it would store, it would save in the gender macro variable all the values. Number of observation would be 19. Here we go. So one more method and another one is calls input. Calls input is another method to define macro variables. In this, calls input can be used in data steps. I'm defining the I'm creating a called macro. In that, I'm copying SAS and dot class data set calls input, and this if this sex would be the macro variable name and the sex is the variable name. And this would be the macro variable name. The variable name from SAS help dot class name, where sex is equal to male. So I'm only going to I'm giving a condition here. It should only pick up from select from the main where the variable where the column sorry where the record has male value in the sex. Let's see run this. As you can see here in this region and region I theta for m. M is the male value. We define it here sex, so it's only taking values where the record has male in the sex category. The other thing is that I'm mentioning here data null, which is a fictitious data set SAS or help dot class. I'm copying. CNT is just a variable name, and I'm mentioning here left put n6 calls input. Name is the macro variable name, and concatenating with CNT, which is this variable name and name, calls input. I'm defining this name CNT macro variable name with CNT. So here we go. Because what is this in the CNT statement? This N is for uh, numbers line for the observation, so that's why it's mentioned. The numbers it's mentioned here, F name 18, F name, so like it has defined it has the number counting is there, so in the serial wise. The other one is other method is do loop. By do loop also you can create a macro variable. If you define it here, it's going to take it. So what I'm doing here is I'm creating data null, which is a data set, fictitious data set, copying this SAS and class. I'm defining end is equal to no more, like I'm giving for the last value, I'm giving the end no more. Calls input. F name, this is the macro variable name, then left n is the number trim name. If no, then calls input, like it is when it's the last, if there is no record here, then it would call this count this uh, count is the number of observation, and n is the uh, for the records it could have the numbers, like for each record it could have the numbers. In this time Creating a macro variable, macro put loop percentage local I. This is finding this percentage local. This would be a local, define it locally, and percentage do is equal to I to count, put name as f name is the macro variable from here, and I would be this till count. The count is this variable, which is the last one, the last record of the data set. I'm going to run this here. I'm going to call this invoke this method. Because we have mentioned symbologen M logic, so showing the how it is resolved inside. The macro variable count resolves to 19. It's mentioned everything. Macro variable I resolved to 1, so it's showing that if we remove that symbologen, it's going to show that. So this is one more stuff here. The other method is that you can define a macro variable inside, and you can mention this percentage local. So local you can use it inside the dataset, global you can use it anywhere. So I'm going to run this here. Now I'm going to mention this here. See, when I run this here, the value of DSN inside print DSN is equal to DSN here it's shown. When I run this macro variable here, now it's showing the value of DSN inside print DSN is SAS head.class. Unless until we invoke this, it's not going to show inside that. Now after this, if we run this also, it's going to show this here. SAS head.class. Because this is a local here, unless it is run here, no, it's not going to show this inside. This is global declaration now, because we have defined this here in the global. The another method is it will be shown here. So let's see, like I'm just creating a macro called print DSN. In this global, I'm mentioning DSN bots, let DSN bots as class variable name age height print variable. Now you see this. You have mentioned this proc print, so it has proc print data SAS help.class. So when we invoke this macro, it runs the proc print statement for SAS help.class. So these are some of the methods how we can create macro variables, and these are uh, statement where you can see that what are the users, automatic, global user, local, all macro variable. Users one are which we create, automatic ones are which is already there in the system, global user which we define the global, local we define inside this data set, and all is like everything. So one by one we'll go user what we have defined. Think these are this. The automatic one is will be this one. These are there in the system before. Global user which we create um, here, like by the users. Global user is which goes in the global, which is stored in the global symbol. Global user in the local is just there. That's it. So that's it from my side. If you have any questions, you can post your comments. Thank you very much.